The road is awesome here, meticulous. So they are cutting much of the trees down here to make it happen at this kind of an artifact portfolio. And I think the owner of this kind of the plot is talking about things going to be getting a little bit worse here. But the condition has to go on. Talk about if it's a road, sometimes we say that, yes, it might bring much of the shenanigans. Let's talk about this kind of an issue. Like talking about something like handling much of the matters in a way that it's so straightforward, not in a complicated manner, in such kind of a responsibility. So it's something that it will create much of a pathway to much of the people, and also such kind of the things, and it's a development. But today it has not been fully developed. That's why they used the other road, so they can just make it happen. That kind of an artwork I talk about, they have to talk so as they can just consume or use somebody's asset also at that kind of the point. And I understand that is the way forward to make it happen, because every moment, every movement is just more fantastic. So this is very nice here, and let them do it. And as far as every spot is not spotted badly, that's what we need. And the road is the nature, and that is the best way for it to go on, because if we have the road going on, and talk about a road is something which is confidential. It's just made for everybody. Not that the road is made for one person, but you can sort this kind of the issues out. Like today again, they're going to be causing mayhem and causing much of the trouble from each and every kind of the section. Talk about today, because the materials have arrived, and talk about maybe the road has not been created, and you have to talk about, okay, this is what I want to do at this kind of the portfolio, or this is what I want to do at this kind of the spot, and make it happen. Because if you put the thoughts together, you can solidize much of the things. Talk about, okay, you have this kind of the thing to solve, you have the other thing to solve. So at that pathway, you can understand that everything is moving more fantastic, califragistically very nice, and everything will just follow the nice route, and no much of the mayhem, no much of the contradictions from east, west, and south. That is it. So today, developing stories from the village is a little bit of again the road, because they're going to be making sure that the road is formulated, and also much of the materials are getting to the site. That is the main effort. But again, what's really popping out, because Mr. Matiko is talking about you're going to be getting to the police station. For what purpose, and how is it going to be handled again? Because we have ever been talking about police now and again, because he was there in Nyabuhan's police station to talk about he has been hijacked, talk about trespassing and much more. But it's something that they can just put down and handle and make it happen, because it's something which is a small thing for them to solidarize and also make it happen, because it's a small issue that can just bring me here maybe sometimes, but you can solidarize it in a better way, in a better thing, that there's no much of creating much of the mayhem. Hello beautiful people, wherever you are, welcome back. It's underscore again to back again. It's an evening time here, and it's just a village report, and everything is so fantastic. The good thing is, guys, the breaking report that is coming out right now is you have seen what's really trending and what's coming out, because I've seen today one-on-one Marwa has just talked about their road has been closed. Is it the first time he has just checked that one? Because yesterday they were fighting there, talking about they have to pass and they will have to pass. And I'm just wondering that they are coming with a foreigner, so as you can just come and see how much of the reaction is just taking position there, which is something which is so disgustful at that kind of the moment. But we have to understand that that is how they're going to be doing much of their own things. Talking about a person is just there psyching, a person who is a foreigner, psyching and talking about, oh, the road has to be opening and whatever. That artifact, you can come to the real conclusion of the thesis of today, whereby you can understand that that road, it's not a permanent road. It's not made for a public road. It's just for an individual. But up to reach this kind of the time as we're just speaking, it's still bringing much of the shenanigans. Talking about the road has been closed, the road had whatever. Too much pogroms and intercoms. Whereby when we come to the real conclusion, I told them very easily that for them to do the necessary thing, for them to get that kind of the road, they should sit down as gentlemen. Don't talk about you're going to be having money when you think about you have everything. There's a time you can have money and you don't have a matchstick into your own home. And it's just a very cheap substance that you can just get at that kind of the moment. But to the real conclusive way is already there have been talk about Mr. Matiko, who is the owner of the road. Yesterday he was obsessed and he went to the local chief again, because he had to call the chief, because when the baraza was there, the chief was there to talk about, oh, the road has been closed, it doesn't have much of the shenanigans to do there. At that kind of the point, I can say that kind of the road, it had to be maintained more meticulously, so as everything can just run so soft and everything will just go as random as it was. But when we go to the clarity of understanding how that kind of the point is put, talk about this kind of the prefixes and also the metaphors of this kind of an equation of the road, it will not end, because Amaro himself, they like drama. Talk about the whole of the family. They like to talk about how the drama will be. How are they going to formulate the drama from east, west, and south? And they're just still complaining about the road that have been told, you can never arrest me. And while I'm just arrested, I have a case in the court, you're coming to tell me that you have to pass to the same road. Go and withdraw the case. That is it. If you cannot withdraw the case, now understand that there's no road to pass. Because Mr. Matiko is complaining about that kind of the road. Because he has paid a lot of money. Talk about the cash bill, 30,000, because it was a fine of a cash bill of 10,000 each, and they're going to be getting to the court session, which will be on 29th, this kind of the month. And still you are talking about I have to get that kind of the road, yet you understand you are still having that kind of the reason behind to put them behind the bars, and you are still complaining about it. Even the good fact is it could not be even allowed to pass to that kind of the position, because it's the person who is psyching. Imagine they are giving the congrats dad much of the money and complicating much of the statement, giving to this kind of the fathers, and they're now behaving cruelly. They're behaving like animals in a way that whenever they're drunk, they can come and do whatever they think they can do at that kind of the position. And when we still persist and talk about this is not the good nature, you are showing the young generation, you are showing to the children's, you are showing, imagine arresting a father and a daughter and even the son, and still you are going to that kind of the position to say that the road is closed. And that kind of effervescence of the man, we can talk about the stupidity of the Aristotle, and that's a lack of dignity and lack of humanity. So when we go back to the straight of the point and we pinpoint what is really going to be coming out of that kind of an artifact, it's in a way that if you want to handle, you benefit and others benefit also, because you want you only to benefit and others not to benefit, because today they have already added another talk about another pole with another barbed wire, so there's no passing is allowed there, and still they're still persisting that that is the road they want to be using. Because yesterday as I met with Murimi's father, and he had been given money so as he can just allow the trucks to pass for that kind of the moment, so they can just pass from one position to another. You can file that kind of the moment that they've been fed with a lot of handouts, so they can just act in a way that they can just exclusively talk about even Chris the Great's things that they're just doing there. It's just for nothing, including, and I will tell you this as a fact, because the first is being cited, because Marwa was allegating much of the accusations to Chris the Great, as he said at the first, because Marwa was accusing and allegating and inclusively.
talking about you're going to be arresting him because he has fenced where the trucks are cutting some of the corners or turning. Talk about the turning point of the trucks. At that point, you can come to the conclusion that there is a beef that has been created, including Marwa is lying to much of the people that this kind of the boys that have been doing this. You cannot tell me that I'm fencing my land, then you come and say that the person who is fencing for me is doing a bad thing because your lands are enclosed, including perimeter walls and including CCTVs and including police handouts and also the chief's handouts, and talk about you are secured. Nobody can get to your own compounds. But when it gets to another people, talk about they're going to be enclosing themselves, not to be disturbed. You're talking about, oh, why are you doing this? Is this close to yours? And the aim is one. This is the story. Chris the Great was sponsoring, talk about the sponsor, was sponsoring one of the students to go to school. And at that time, that kind of the student was being under the supervision of Chris the Great. Then that student just ran out of school and came back home, and Amaro himself got that boy and employed the boy to do much of the jobs, including he was a minor and he's just a schooling guy. And when they started searching for this kind of the boy, they found that Amaro has just employed the boy. And at that kind of the period of time, people were just collected and they were told, why is this kind of the stuffs happening that Amaro is the one who is employing much of the children and also doing this kind of the interfaces and much of the pogroms east, west and south. Then the case was to be bigger. Then Amaro rushed and picked the chief and said that how this kind of the things going to be handled in a pogromitic way, and they just vanished in a way that you cannot understand which kind of the strategy, because you understand that money talks and money talks more louder than the empty mouth. We understand it. At the village here, that is what is failing much of the people. So they cannot come out attentively and talk about what's going to be coming out at that kind of an essence. But we will stick to the point and we will pinpoint such kind of the point so they can just be heard east, west and south, because we have much of the things to understand and put them out. And also everybody should understand which kind of the pathway should you pass, which kind of the pathway should you not pass. At this kind of the moment, I can say we are reluctant. And also the parents we are just being parented with, they are just used like tissues. They're just talking about, we fear this kind of the family, or they'll go to the police. And that is the talk about the humiliating the nature. So if the parents are fearing, what about the children? You will see Ayamaro and you will be running like Safari Rally and talk about, no, this kind of the family, they are so strong. Strong for what? So that is the pinpointment that we're going to be talking about. And we have to be there to talk about it. Because when we try to do it, I've seen they have now collected themselves and talk about they're waiting for Gintu to come so they can just ambush me. And that is an artifact that I was talking about. They're going to be messing with the wrong person. And at that moment, we know, because they are being sponsored so that they can just do it, because a person cannot claim. Let me say this kind of the proverb, much of the people have to get it today, that if I am involved in the corruption, I will defend it because I know how I'm gaining with that kind of the corruption. But when another person is doing corruption, you'll have to pinpoint and also claim that that person is doing the corruption because you are not benefiting from it. At that fact, now we can come to the conclusion. Marwa is behaving in a way that he doesn't know that he's committing the crime, or is committing much of the stupid things that are not allowed at this kind of the time. And talk about is the one who is engaged in the drama and engaged in this kind of the way of corruption. And when you are engaged, because he's practicing, he has to defend it. Because of what? Whenever he hears that Gintu are gaining and people are just talking about Gintu support this kind of the vulnerable, he feels like he could be the one who is being used because he's the one who brought the YouTube platform. At that fact, now you can come to the real way of handling this kind of the matters. And not that everything should be handled with this kind of the person. Not everything should be handled with him. Other people can do it and don't think about will never grow. Tomorrow is another day. Nobody will never ever talk about this kind of the people will go. We were told that way. Because when we were being chased out, we were told that, oh, this kind of the boys, they will not go anywhere and they will have nothing. They'll ever stay in mad houses. Right now, they're just talking about, oh, so what are they talking right now? They're shut up. And even right now, the people are just licking their buttocks, talk about licking. Right now, they're talking about what? So they're just wondering, is this kind of the people we are ever talking bad about? So right now they have come to their all senses and understanding at which kind of the propagation and the propaganda they're going to be giving out, because they like drama. They should have the drama, I'm telling you. And at that fact, why can't Marwa, he has money, why can't he buy the road? If they have bought another road and they've been told this kind of the road is a no-go zone, so why are they going to the same position and talking about, it's only in Africa you can close the road? Who is passing onto your plot? Say it fact. Who is passing in Congrats dad plot? Who? So at that moment you can understand we are being kicked and we are being sacked and we are being mentally challenged and brainwashed. And if we come out that we are so elite, we are being told that we are jealousy of these psychopaths, which is a very stupidical and metrical things that you can come to the conclusion and tell much of the people. I know we have so many haters that are talking about why is Gintu still progressing? Why is Gintu doing this kind of the things ABCD? And if it could be their own turn, they could have told the Congrats that whenever he came to this kind of the position, that shoot this kind of the person and kill the guy. And that could be the only reason they could just be speaking about. But try your best, because right now I meet with that kind of the man and he has nothing to do, because he understands that how the powers we are holding. Don't think about the only people who are just holding much of the powers here. And the only thing is much of the people think about, this and this and this. And everything is just donations also. We are not denying there's no donation. Let it come. And everybody knows that he has to direct it. Not that a person wants to send tomorrow talk about, I've just confused, I've sent it to Gintu. And Gintu's donation is going to be talk about why. It's only in a fact that why did Marwa go and block my Western Union? You can think about it. Why? Because he knew that Gintu going to be progressing in a way that he cut me, in a way that I was sponsoring much of this, talk about the girl child with sanitary needs, and he cut my Western, because much of the people are using it. And you can imagine that I cannot receive money using Western Union in some of the parts. Talk about from UK, from much of the parts, I cannot receive it. Why? Because they talked about we are receiving money that we are planning to attack him. What does he have? He has not even completed his own compound. He's just relying on donations so as people can donate for him, so as he can just even build talk about a swimming pool. And we are trying our best. Gintu is going to be building much of the things here to come out. So the people are just talking about Gintu is this one, this one, this one. You're going to be kept in locked, keep it tuned, stop dreaming, get the reality. You'll ever be watching, supporting, so as you can just groove together. Because at that kind of an artifact, we understand our stability. We understand who we are. We understand our own, talk about space we are holding at the compound or holding at this kind of the moment of the community. Because everybody has his own way. And everybody has his own step. This is a fact. Because when you are talking about everybody has his own path to understand which kind of the path are you holding. Talk about at each and every kind of the position. Understand this, that everybody is very important in the area you are, the position you are holding. That Gintu's position, Marwa cannot hold it. And Marwa's position, Gintu cannot hold it. And Dimwango's position, Mogesi cannot hold it. That is it. Everybody is holding his own position, and you are so important in that position, and in that condition you are. Even if you are a fool, you are so important to the position you are covering. So at that moment, they should understand that don't ever humanate much of the people and think about you are the only people who are blessed. Maybe other people, you are the person who they will be following, because they don't want to see that this kind of the person is doing different from what they're doing and is progressing in a way that they are just wondering, why is Gintu progressing this way and is doing a different thing? And they're just wondering, how are we going to be blocking this kind of the boy? How can we do east, west, and south? They'll ever claim, they'll ever run east, west, and south. But the equation they'll have to ask and answer themselves in a rhetorical way is whereby they should understand that everybody is holding his own position and there is no day you will ever hold Gintu's position. At that artifact, take it to the bank. And to the real commencement of the thesis of today, they have to understand that whatever they're going to be doing, to understand that they are humiliating other people. Talk about this road should pass, including yesterday. They were there even forcing this kind of the man, and he had to rush to the police station for the rescue and talk about what am I going to do, because they came. The Congress Rado was there, Marwa was there, Jamaican Uncle was there, Gitiriba was there, Uncle Mo was there, Debunking was there, Davy was there. The whole family collected themselves to go and talk about we want to do whatever they want to do. Yes, hello? Hello? Yes. Oh yeah. Kidogo tu niko kwa video then umefika home? Sasa nitakuconnectia aje? Aya sawa. So the biggest moment for us to ask ourselves is what are we doing and how are we doing it? Because we will have to answer the questions when we will just die and we have to do it. But what Marwa has to ask themselves and that family, because the whole fraternity is rotten, is that at the end of the time, everybody will be just pulled from the fridges like cold beers. And that is what they have to understand. Whatever you will be having, whether you have a Mercedes, whether you have a BMW, whether you have a Lamborghini, whether you have an aeroplane landing, at the end of the time, you will be pulled from a fridge like a frozen beer. And people will be talking about, yeah, we loved you, and that is it. So at this time, don't think about you have everything. So understand that there are people who are underground and they are doing their all the best to make sure that everything is coming out. At an evidence, Marwa is the one who is going to record other people's property, and including recording other people's faces without an integral value, without an acknowledgement to do it. But whenever Gintu is doing it, they're talking about I'm attacking them, stupidity of the highest order. And when we talk about stupidity of the highest order, is a way that when they are engaged in corruption, and they will defend it because it's them who are doing it. But others, whenever they see others doing corruption and gaining, they'll just realize and come in and talk about it. They report it and talk about this kind of the people are benefiting and we are not benefiting too. Because I said it in the first video, that this kind of the people, they will use you in a way that they will have to use you and consume you and titlate you in a way that even the chemical equation cannot be answered there. Even writing a chemical equation will be a very hardship for you to write a chemical equation, because you cannot balance it. Because the balancement of the chemical reaction, it's not occurring. Maybe the effervescence is not there, or the color coding is not around. So at that artifact, you can quote it that when they have utilized you properly and they have siphoned you in a way that they have used osmosis way or diffusion theory, or they have used active transport theory, so they can siphon you properly in a way that they will act in a villi-like structures to make sure that they are excavating every essential nutrients from you, and you will ever be empty. Then they will just throw you out and say that you have done something not meticulous to their own lives, and they'll say that you are this and this. Look at Gake, look at what they're just doing to him. He ever been utilized completely. He's now like trash, and they're now still talking about ABCD. At which kind of the rate are we going to recognize that people are used? I said it one day when I was in my fish ponds there. Some couple, I talk about a year ago. It was in 2024 around June. And I said it, that the biggest scam that people have never seen, it's where Marwa himself stated and talked about will ever be tagging me when the party was there, and including after the party, people still tagged him. Everybody is talking about I am Marwa. People never knew that was a biggest scam, in a way that he was earning while you are just stuck. And those kind of the people will ever watch only you have tagged him. And if you don't tag him, you are completely done. Look at who is this kind Mama Gift. Look at this kind of the Europeans who came so that they can grow their own channels. Where are they? You will understand how you will be consumed completely and be thrashed like a psychopath, and you will just not gain anything. And when we tell much of the young boys here that Marwa is here and we are just complicating, you're talking about, oh, Gintu is bad or Gintu is doing ABCD. At the end of the day, Marwa will leave. Gintu will still be persistent and talk about this has to be directed the way it should be. And we'll talk about, oh, I wish I knew I could be like Gintu. The time could have gone. It's your time to wake up today and understand that the biggest scam is where you are just pleading and going and talk about, oh, I have to go and kneel down to this kind of the psychopathic devilship. And if you have never understood, that is it, because we saw it. But much of the people have never been told that is a devil in nature. They have red colors in the house. And at that fact, look at whenever Rocio is being beaten like a Cherokee drum, she turns red like a tomatoes. Have you ever understood it? You'll think about the way I've just wore. That's how she is completely, because she's turning red. If you have never been told that is the fact, take it to the bank. And at that fact, you can understand the scam and how everything's just running. You are told that, oh, I beat Rocio so she can run, and whenever she's going to be coming, it will be like a surprise that the Mercedes-Benz has come. And you will be told this kind of the stories, east, west, and south, because Marwa is a dramatic person. Why is he not growing? And he's talking about, oh, imagine a person who is not growing is telling Gintu that, oh, you know, this kind of the video you're doing, you'll not grow. Who told you that I wanted to grow? And who told you that the growing is whatever? Who told you that the height will determine the children we'll be having? Who told you that we have something called cloning? We have something called phenotypic ratios. We have something called genotypic ratios. You can just definitely have genetics, and the genesis of becoming somebody. It will just be so punctual that kind of the moment. And genetics depend on whichever you will be, ancestral genes. So don't think about, oh, whenever you are short, you will be shorter and shorter and shorter. That is not something that will be ever coming out. So at this artifact, I come across and say, we are hooked up, and if we don't wake up, we are completely done. And it will be that way. And we will be sold into fear. We will be sold into allegations. We will be sold into accusations, east, west, and south. And we will be told that you will not be speaking if Marwa has spoken. We will be told with even the chief and the police, you are saying whatever A, B, C, D, if you are not punctual. And we are going to deal with this kind of the psychophonic things that are still happening, and people don't understand what's really meant from each and every kind of the position. Let me say it this way. If you have understood, because yesterday I went and I saw the road that they had bought, it's still under correction, or talk about it's still under renovation, so they can just start working. And why are they complaining about something they never bought? Why are they complaining about somebody's territory? And when you can complain about them, they're talking about you are attacking them. And I asked us a very simple question. Have you ever seen a road passing through Congrats that place? Have you ever seen a road anywhere, including a road that they bought recently plot, and including there was a way, talk about a pathway that children were using to go to a school called Kibranga Primary School. Do you know that he closed it and said and told the students, if I find somebody passing here, I'll cut you. And he was walking with a machete. Whenever a student or a pupil sees such kind of the reaction, will you think about the children can just pass through kind of the area? So that is what we are calling about a failure. And we'll ever be complaining about it, because they will not understand what we are about. And if they have to understand, we should be under it, and we should be underwater to participate it, so as people can understand what's really roaming out. And that is the best way. And they are talking about Ogintu is coming to our position ABCD. I'll still be coming, so as I can cover it one-on-one from the field. Because much of the people don't understand that when we are at the field and showing this is the problem, that is what. And much of the people hate it, because we are showing the reality, and the failure, this kind of the fraternity is showing out. And they're going to be coming out with much of the reservoirs that are still packaged behind the scene, so you can just be getting them the way they're going to be coming to you live, which is one-on-one. Keep it tuned, be tuned here, so you can just get much of the village report and from this kind of the fraternity of a reactionate way. Let's tangle and make it happen. Keep it tuned. Let's get this kind of the video and understand what's popping out from this point right now, in this moment, right now.
Hello, beautiful internet, wherever you are, welcome back to this kind of the session again, coming one-on-one live at this kind of the portfolio to understand what's really roaming and what's really coming out from this kind of the section, because things are still roaming out and things are still not conducive at this kind of the pathway, because already talk about the other road that has been tangled. Talk about Marwa talked about they have been buying a road. It's already blocked because the owner of that plot has refused that he cannot give out the road. So right now, let me put this kind of the effervescence from that kind of the portfolio, so you can just understand what's really popping out, because things are not normal the way they were just planning. So today we have a scenario. I want to be coming back to this kind of the scenario whereby they have forced again to pass through that kind of the road, and already now again a case has been filed talking about they're now trespassing to somebody's plot because he has blocked, and Debunking and also Marwa, they were just there, and also Uncle Mo, I've heard it that they went to talk about they have to pass whether he likes or not. So at that artifact, I can say that Mr. Matiko has gone to the police station to understand what's really popping out. And I said it at first, what are we doing as people? What are we forcing? Why can't we use the law? And also we use a moment that you are talk about a bigger person, or you have talk about you have a say. Sometimes you can just handle much of 2-3 shenanigans and pogroms and make it happen, because it's something which is a little bit weird whenever we talk about how it's going to be coming. But everything has to go on as far as everything is in concern, and I think at this kind of the point they understand, because today the material have just come in, but they could not get that kind of the good moment to legitimately talk about get to the site, because the owner of the plot refused, because the material had already got there. So the road that they bought here, it's a little bit not still, it's not ready for the use, because it's bringing still much of the shenanigans and telenovela. So at that kind of an artifact, you can say that still there is much of the things to be discussed here before things come to the conclusion of the time. That is the best way for handling much of the matters down and making it happen. Well, yeah, the road is awesome here, meticulous. So they are cutting much of the trees down here to make it happen at this kind of an artifact portfolio. And I think the owner of this kind of the plot is talking about things going to be getting a little bit worse here. But the condition has to go on. Talk about if it's a road, sometimes we say that, yes, it might bring much of the shenanigans. Let's talk about this kind of an issue. Like talking about something like handling much of the matters in a way that it's so straightforward, not in a complicated manner, in such kind of a responsibility. So it's something that it will create much of a pathway to much of the people, and also such kind of the things, and it's a development. But today it has not been fully developed. That's why they used the other road, so they can just make it happen. That kind of an artwork I talk about, they have to talk so as they can just consume or use somebody's asset also at that kind of the point. And I understand that is the way forward to make it happen, because every moment, every movement is just more fantastic. So this is very nice here, and let them do it. And as far as every spot is not spotted badly, that's what we need. And the road is the nature, and that is the best way for it to go on, because if we have the road going on, and talk about a road is something which is confidential. It's just made for everybody. Not that the road is made for one person, but you can sort this kind of the issues out. Like today again, they're going to be causing mayhem and causing much of the trouble from each and every kind of the section. Talk about today, because the materials have arrived, and talk about maybe the road has not been created, and you have to talk about, okay, this is what I want to do at this kind of the portfolio, or this is what I want to do at this kind of the spot, and make it happen. Because if you put the thoughts together, you can solidize much of the things. Talk about, okay, you have this kind of the thing to solve, you have the other thing to solve. So at that pathway, you can understand that everything is moving more fantastic, califragistically very nice, and everything will just follow the nice route, and no much of the mayhem, no much of the contradictions from east, west, and south. That is it. So today, developing stories from the village is a little bit of again the road, because they're going to be making sure that the road is formulated, and also much of the materials are getting to the site. That is the main effort. But again, what really popping out, because Mr. Matiko is talking about, you're going to be getting to the police station for what purpose, and how is it going to be handled again? Because we have been talking about police now and again, because he was there in Nyabuhan's police station to talk about he has been hijacked, talk about trespassing and much more. But it's something that they can just put down and handle and make it happen, because it's something which is a small thing for them to solidarize and also make it happen, because it's a small issue that can just bring mayhem maybe sometimes, but you can solidarize it in a better way, in a better thing, that there's no much of creating much of the mayhem maybe at that kind of the portfolio, and it's so much. So the good thing is, if the road gonna be there, it's gonna be so fantastic. Much of the people are gonna be developing from inside here. But we can talk about it's something whenever somebody says that, oh, this kind of the road, why are there people paid and we are not paid? Oh no, this kind of the thing will not go good. So they try themselves to talk about, even me, I need the money, so as I can just give out the road. And why are you paying other people and you cannot pay me? It's a tit for tat. You pay them as you pay me too, so as you can just make sure that the road gonna be passing. That is what much of the people need at the ground. But absolutely, people don't understand such kind of a way. And I'm heading to this kind of the road, because already today they have passed, and Mr. Matiko said that they have trespassed without his own consent, and he needs to understand why they are not doing what is necessary at this kind of the point, because they are forcing things to happen. So that is what is causing much of the problems, and also they have tried the best, because Mr. Matiko, the good thing he did is to block the way, to make sure that it cannot be passable at this kind of the area. But the guy of the truck had to penetrate in a very small pathway, because they had to break somebody's fence to make sure that that trolley is passing, so they can just drive or deliver much of the materials to the site. And also I've met with Dimwango there, and they are going to town at that kind of the moment. And she was looking at me like like an empty bowl. So, but the good fact is I have to report what is really happening. I'm not bothered about whatever you talk about it. And this is the statement. Talk about now the truck has come, and it never had much of its own way, so it had to press it at this kind of talk about very near at this kind of the place, and make sure that it's not touching this kind of the trees here. So the breaking news that is coming right now is that they want to now block it fully, talk about from that kind of the pathway until so they can just go hand in hand with their moment of understanding, because you can understand much of the people they don't want such kind of the things of talking about, oh, this is how it's gonna be, this is how it's gonna come. But the absolute way of solidarizing this kind of the things is via understanding each other and making it happen. And that is the only way. That is now Mulimi passing there very meticulously, and they are drunk 24/7. Yeah? But yesterday I said they're going to be covering here, to cover it up, talking about what happened with the father to Ernesto, because he was cutting the fence, and he has told me that he never liked Chris the Great. I don't know why whenever you are helped, because this road was bringing money to the father to Ernesto. So at that artifact, he was even telling me that, oh Gintu, there's a toilet that Obasa started, and dug the hole, but it has not been constructed. So he was telling that I can just chip in and help them a little bit there. But I asked him about why are you talking about the toilet and they started it? Why couldn't they finish it? Because I always start and finish. So I cannot talk about I'm going to be finishing somebody's project because I don't know how and which kind of the matters did they put together to make it happen. So at this artifact, I can say that it's something which is contradicting still, because the road was giving them money. So right now, there's no money that is brought to this kind of the cardiophagistic moment. So the father to Ernesto is feeling like he has been mistreated with this kind of Chris the Great maybe. And yesterday, the wire that was being cut, you can understand that look at this kind of the pole. It had been removed because he's saying that he was cutting this kind of the wire. That's why it's just hinging here, and you can understand what I mean. So this artifact, I can say that they are talking about Chris the Great talk about from one tree to another. It was a very big distance that he's talking about. You understand, he was conversing with me in Korea, and I asked about what is it, because look at here. So it's already cut. So if it's already cut, it means that already this kind of the project is tempered with. And I tried to look for, you can see, it's already tempered on. You can see it. So there's nothing there again. So at that fact, you can understand that things are not happening very meticulously here. So they're talking about including, I don't know if Ernesto was available whenever I just today I was just looking for him. So as we can just put our thoughts together. But the defect that is coming out is they say that this kind of the fence was put a very far distance. So Chris the Great, can you consult about it and check on how to make sure that you are coming to rectify if they are not satisfied with whatever you did? So you have to handle this kind of the 2-3 things very smoothly, because they're talking about the fence is a little bit far, and it's going to be leaving much of the space provided. Talk about even if you understand, whenever things are done meticulously, like you can put another pole. Talk about from this pole to another pole.